Boxingego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, a rematch I'm definitely looking forward to. Hopefully it gets done. That's between Andre SOG Ward and Sergey the Crusher Kovalev. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Now, Ward tweeted something I found it of interest, and I kind of want to talk about it and just some updated thoughts on a potential Ward-Kovalev 2. Now, Andre Ward the other day, he put on his verified Twitter, "They out here selling fear," and he put fear in all caps, "but we not buying it," right? And obviously he didn't direct it at anyone, but I definitely believe it's directed at Team Kovalev, and that's because of the recent sentiments. And really, it's been the case when it comes to Team Kovalev, even in the first promotions, right? Now, I was fortunate enough to see a great fight in November of last year. I was at that fight live. I covered it for Boxingego, and it was phenomenal. And the only regret or the only disappointing thing is it was such a good fight that it left something to the imagination, and now the actual fight gets clouded with different judgments on who won the fight and controversy and robbery and no Ward won. That's the only downside, is that it was such an elite level fight, such a good fight, such a competitive fight with two guys in their prime. Somebody's O has to go, and that's exactly what happened, and that's what we got. To me, the fight turned out to be better than what a lot of people expected, because before the fight, I was reading people say, "Oh, Ward's gonna run, it's gonna be boring, all he's gonna do is clinch," and Ward fought a risky fight. He wasn't doing a bunch of running. He was in the pocket. He was tattooing Kovalev's body. Kovalev's hitting him with the solid ass jab and knocked him down in the second round. So I seen two guys scrapping and engaging. So I think it like Golovkin Jacobs, a lot of people were more impressed than leading up to the fight. And I think that's kind of part of the reason for that and the timing. But I think that's part of the reason between the pay-per-view didn't do that great in terms of the number. I think it did 160,000 pay-per-views, so we would expect it more, especially since Pacquiao Vargas on Top Rank pay-per-view did over 300,000 or 300,000. I expected more for the most meaningful fight that year in 2016, but it's close to the holidays. I don't think the promotion was great, which is a separate video. I'm going to talk about John David Jackson and what he had to say. And I really think Ward is directing this to Team Kovalev, because this is, like I said, been the case since the first fight, the first build-up. I remember I covered the Ward versus Alexander Brand fight in Oakland at the Oracle, and days later, literally after the Brand fight, they scheduled some kind of Los Angeles press conference, and Team Kovalev, well, I say Team Kovalev, it was really Kathy Duva with Main Events. She made this big fuss about Ward being a no-show, and she made it as if he had RSVP'd, and then all of a sudden he stood him up. Like when Freddie Roach was at the gym on the HBO 24/7 and the preparation for Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. versus Sergio Martinez, and you watch that 24/7, Freddie Roach is at the gym. They had a scheduled date for him to train Chavez Jr., and then Chavez Jr. just didn't show up. And Freddie Roach is just idly waiting at the gym for an hour or so, waiting for Chavez to arrive, and he never does. And it's because he didn't feel like it. That's what Kathy Duva led the public to believe, that it was something like that. And then come to find out, she cleared it up with Behind the Gloves. Shout out to my girl, Michelle Joy Phelps, and the Behind the Gloves movement. But there was an interview, and she clarified it and said, "Oh, we knew Rock Nation had already sent us a memo. They already contacted us and said, hey, Ward's not going to be here. He just finished the fight. He's spending time with his family," or whatever the situation was. So they knew about it. So it's like, why create that? First of all, if you knew both fighters couldn't be there, why even have the press conference? Just to see Kovalev? I mean, that's like scheduling a press conference and you know Chavez Jr. already told you he's not going to be there, and it's just Canelo. And I mean, even that would be maybe a little bit better, because Canelo's the biggest star in boxing. But You know what I mean? Either way, it's like Chavez Jr. having his own press conference with no Canelo. Who wants to see that? When two fighters are scheduled to fight, we want to see them do the face-off. We want to hear if there's any like sneaky, snarky comments at each other, like on the mic. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that was even dumb to even continue with this press conference when it's just Kovalev and John David Jackson in main events, because it's a one-side story. And I think things like that have been going on. Kovalev has stated his piece. He believes he won. I don't think he won. There's a lot of people, including Eddie Hearn, that thought that Ward won. Was it Ward's best and most convincing performance? No, but he was in there with the monster, the crusher, a guy who has more experience at the division, a good boxer, and power. So, like Ward said post-fight, not every fight is going to be squeaky clean, and it's not, like, you almost grow when you see guys like masters at work, like Floyd Mayweather, Rigondeaux, and Andre Ward, guys like that. You're so used to them being so dominant and creating such a separation that if they're in a tough fight, like Floyd was with Cotto did good in the early half of the fight. You know, he had a good jab and he made Floyd fight. I was reading, I think I was headed to Boston, so I was at the airport. I missed that fight live, and you guys know I don't really miss fights, but I was on Twitter, and I'm like, man, what's happening? Because I just wanted, even though I was missing it live, because there was no bars or anything in the airport showing the Mayweather Cotto fight, and I was pissed that particular year. So there was nowhere in the airport. I had to catch a flight. It was like a red eye or whatever. So I was just in the airport, stranded. I already got through security, so it's not like I'm gonna leave and go find a bar in town. So I'm just stuck at the airport. So the only thing I had was social media, like my Twitter and Facebook and stuff, to see what people were saying about the fight. So I go on Twitter and people were saying, oh man, Floyd has a bloody nose, he's getting his ass beat, Cotto's dogging him. And I'm like, oh wow, right? And I got back home, you know what I mean? I spent a week in Boston, got back home. I had already recorded the fight. I just wasn't there to watch it live. So in the fight, for whatever reason, back then when Mayweather fought Cotto, the fights weren't as readily available like instantly after the fight, like on YouTube. So anyway, I got back from my trip, watched Mayweather Cotto, and it was a good fight. Cotto put up a scrap, made him work and stuff like that. But it wasn't what people were saying when it was live. Like people were saying like Floyd was just getting dogged, and I didn't see that at all. I seen Cotto doing well, but it was Cotto put up a better fight than people expected. People were like, oh, Cotto's not the same since Margarito. And Cotto, being an elite fighter himself, he made Floyd work, and it was a good fight, competitive fight, but it really wasn't what people were making it out. So some people were even saying at that time, I don't know if anyone's really saying it now, but I remember, because my boxing channel was out then, and people were saying it was a robbery. Cotto got robbed. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not comparing Mayweather Cotto to Ward-Kovalev, because I think that was a closer fight than Mayweather Cotto, but it still goes to show that different people have different perspectives, and when you're used to seeing someone who's so dominant, a lot of times people see you in a closer fight, and that sways their judgment. Like, oh, Maidana's beating his ass. He's beating Floyd up. I didn't see that either. I seen Maidana was scrapping. He was rough. Maidana just is, I don't give a fuck type of attitude. That's why I love Chino, because he's just going to come to scrap. He knows he's not going to out-produce, out-technique, have a more tactical approach and finesse than Floyd Mayweather. So he was just in there doing whatever. Rabbit punching, hitting below the belt, roughing Floyd up, trying to push him and bully him to the ropes, just letting his size and power off. You know what I mean? Risking it all. And that's what made it a fun and scrappy fight. But I still think Floyd won that fight, right? Floyd fought off the ropes, landed clean shots, stuff like that. But again, since you're not used to seeing, like when even guys who are big like Canelo, he got dogged. He got dog walked when he fought Floyd. So you see Maidana doing better, and Floyd got a cut in that fight. He was bleeding. So some people's perspective gets skewed for that reason. Again, Ward-Kovalev, I thought it was a fight of the halves. It was definitely a close fight. And so was Golovkin-Jacobs to me. You know what I mean? So it's kind of up to interpretation. But me being a realist, I'm not even really mad at the people who said they think Kovalev won. I don't. I could tell you why, and I can go round by round and tell you what I liked in each. And the biggest takeaway that I noticed is Kovalev, once he got in the second half after that, the confidence from the knockdown, that slowly started to dissipate and get taken away from him. I think Ward's body work and the fact that Ward stood up to the bully told me a lot, because Kovalev is not used to that. Kovalev has a mean streak, right? He's a good fighter. He has a mean streak. And when he gets you hurt, it's usually curtains soon after that. Look at Jean Pascal. When Pascal was getting hurt, it was only a matter of time before he ended up getting him out of there. Pascal has no defense. He don't have a defense like Ward. So, you know what I mean? It kind of falls in line. Same thing with guys like Ishmael Salak and Cedric Agnew. They didn't have like the big fight experience and the wherewithal to know what to do when badly hurt and fight back. And I think Ward did. And he stood his ground. He fought a risky fight. Kovalev was still game, still trying. But it's not a tough man contest. So it's not about who's more visibly hurt, because some guys are just tough. I mean, if that's the case, then Ruslan Provodnikov would be undefeated, because that motherfucker's tough. And I never really seen him hurt, to be honest. But I still think Lucas Matisse beat him. And Lucas is a known power puncher, but I never really seen him hurt Ruslan. Like, to the point where Lucas Matisse got more hurt at the end of the fight than Ruslan looked. So you can't judge a fight based on who looked more hurt. And again, I said this and I'm gonna say it again. Some people don't know shit about boxing, so the only thing that they can go off of is what other people say and visual cues. Oh, someone got knocked down. That's easy. Anyone could judge that. Anyone could, okay, this guy's on the canvas, he's on all fours, or he got knocked down, he won that round. That's easy for anyone to judge, but you have to see what's going on beyond that, and you have to learn how to break down the sweet science, see who's doing what. And I seen the tempo shift. And you have to ask your question. You have to answer this question and ask this question. How come Kovalev early knocked Ward down and he never had a round as good as round 2 after that, right? Clearly it's because the man on the opposite side of the ring from him, Virgil Hunter, got his ear and did his little pep talk. And, you know, Ward's like a big cat. You know what I'm saying? And the rest was history. Ward stepped it up. Kovalev was still game. Kovalev, he looked like he was getting tired to me. And I seen it live. I watched it back on the DVR. It was a fun fight. It was a close fight. I take nothing away from Kovalev. That's how I seen it. So back to Ward's tweet, they're selling fear. I feel what he's saying. I know what he's saying. He's talking about how everyone's saying he wants to retire because he's scared. Listen, you guys, a lot of you guys don't really know much about boxing. That's why I kind of refrain from boxing, but there are a lot of people that do know, that watch the channel. But it's amazing to me how people leave these comments and it's really never what they say. Like, they said Daniel Jacobs got knocked down by Sergio Mora, so he's getting destroyed and knocked out early by Golovkin. That didn't happen. You know what I mean? You guys got to learn how to call boxing. And they said Danny Garcia was going to get his head knocked off and destroyed and murdered by Lucas Matisse. It's not what happened. Ward, he stood up to the bully. He made it scrappy. I think in the rematch, he's going to try to. He's a perfectionist, I know, dude. And I've seen him work. He's in the zone. Maybe he thought Kovalev wasn't as good of a boxer. Kovalev has long arms, too. It looks like his arms are really long. And he can box. So maybe he underestimated the technique. Maybe he thought he was like, oh, he's slow, I'm way more athletic. I don't know. But I think Ward is going to go back to the drawing board. He's heard the outcries and people screaming robbery. Again, on my channel, I keep it real. I don't call fights like that a robbery, because it was a very close fight of halves, you know what I mean? But a knockdown, I'm here to tell you right here and now, a knockdown does not define a 12-round championship bout. It's just, you guys, the people that are screaming robbery and whatnot, it just, you don't know boxing, because you wouldn't call a close fight such this travesty, this robbery. You know what I mean? It just, that's not how it happens. Like Juan Manuel Marquez, when he fought Manny Pacquiao in the first fight, he got knocked down 3 times and fought to a draw. So you mean to tell me Ward can't survive one knockdown early in the fight and work his way back into the fight? You know what I mean? Look at Lamont Peterson. He got knocked down, it might have been 2 times or more, I don't remember, but I know he got knocked down at least 1 or 2 times versus Victor Ortiz when Ortiz was in his prime, and he fought Ortiz to a draw. Especially the harder, if it's a close fight and you get knocked down late, that might be something different because the early rounds are super close. And then now on top of that, Kovalev punctuated it and knocked Ward down late. That's harder because that deficit's late. And, you know what I mean, they tally the scorecards a few rounds after that. So that's going to be fresh in your mind. But you can definitely bounce back. I mean, look at Andre Dirrell versus James DeGale. Dirrell was down twice in round 1 or 2, and he fought back. And some people thought Dirrell won that fight. I got to watch it again. I was okay with James DeGale winning, but I knew it was razor thin. So all these fights like that, to me, that's not no robbery. And a lot of people, not just Team Kovalev, but fans, they're trying to sell this fear. I really have a hard time, especially from seeing the guy work and just knowing him. I really have a hard time believing that Ward is literally fearful. Like, if you're going to be fearful, wouldn't you be fearful of Kovalev not having 12 rounds of experience with him to begin with? You know what I mean? Why would Ward even sign the multi-fight deal which stipulated in his move to light heavyweight he had to fight Kovalev, right? Why would he even sign that? Why didn't he just look for other options or another network? Why even? So to me, that's how I know some of you guys don't fight, never fought, never been in a fight in your life, because to me, this is what Ward is talking about. And this is me speaking my piece, but this is how I'm interpreting it. But it's because why would Ward be afraid in a rematch when you've already got 12 rounds in? You already that's like Broner versus Granados. They've sparred each other before, so I doubt either person was afraid. I mean, you can have jitters or something like that, but you have experience with that person. You know what to expect. You felt their power. You felt what the shift at the second half of the Kovalev Ward. So if anything, if Ward was going to be afraid, he should have been afraid in the beginning, in the first fight. But having experience, just like Floyd Mayweather rematching Maidana and Castillo, he knows what they brought to the table. So that actually makes you more confident because you have gotten rounds in with that person. But still, people keep saying this whole fear. I told you, as far as Ward retiring, to me, I think that was a strong arm tactic. He was checking him. That's what we call it in the Bay Area. He was kind of putting Team Kovalev in their place. Like, hey, I'll retire. I'll end this whole thing. And then all the belts get splattered around the whole light heavyweight division. You're going to have to fight Joe Smith Jr. and Adonis Stevens and Better Biev and all kinds of stuff to get these belts back. You know what I mean? I'll end this by retiring. So I don't think he was really going to retire, me personally, but I think it was a strong arm tactics because Team Kovalev was nonstop saying, "Oh, son of judges," and bitter about the decision. Again, I don't think it was a robbery. I don't think it's the American judges. It was a close fight, and Kovalev faded. He was still game, but he faded, and you have to ask yourself why he faded. And clearly, it was what Ward was doing: body work, somebody standing up to him. And don't get me wrong, I don't think Kovalev was like on Queer Street or rocked or whatever, and that's what made it a fun fight. So that's, to me, what people are talking about with the fear. You guys can leave all them crazy comments in the comment section. I don't really care because I'm really on to the next video and the next order of business. So you guys can leave all that buffoonery. That's just my thoughts on the whole Kovalev Ward situation. And see, this is the thing. Just like Mayweather Pacquiao, you never hear like people say, "Oh, you like Floyd Mayweather," right? Why did I never protected Floyd? I always wanted to see the Pacquiao fight. I never said no, don't see it. Just like Ward-Kovalev. If you think it was a robbery and Kovalev won, why would I? And you think I love Ward or whatever the situation is? Why would I be down to see the rematch? I want the rematch. I'm pushing for the rematch. So, you know what I mean? That just goes to show you. Meanwhile, guys like Gennady Golovkin, he was in a tough fight, which is contested. There are a lot of people, including Box Nation, myself, Gerald Big Baby Miller, Deontay Wilder, and a slew of other people who have publicly stated that they believe that Daniel Jacobs won the fight versus Golovkin. Yet Golovkin is likely moving on to the next order of business next, Billy Joe Saunders, Canelo, or whoever, without having to clear that up. You know what I mean? So me, I'm all for immediate rematches in these Carl Frampton, Leo Santa Cruz type fights, Kovalev Ward, because the first fight was good. The second fight will probably do better numbers, and it'll be basically like around 13. That's my thoughts, just my thoughts. Make sure you share the video, like the video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.